Good to see you again, and welcome to this video. This is for everyone thinking of dairy farming at a small scale or has started already. And this is something that I've told to numerous clients that I've attended to who are keeping a few dairy animals or anything up to 30 animals. I have noticed that in most of the small enterprises of dairy practice in Zambia, there is one major thing that goes wrong. Now, there's a lot of things that go wrong, but this one is consistent. Now, most farmers go out there and buy an expensive dairy animal, and dairy animals are expensive, somewhere between 25 and 30,000 kwacha, sometimes 18,000 kwacha when you buy a cheap cross. But the idea is that after you spend that amount of money, and you maybe have imported a dairy animal from South Africa, most people have a tendency to get the animals and first dump them on their farm in the sun without good shelter, without good bedding or housing generally. That's not my concern. Big deal, not my concern in this video particularly. The next thing that they do also, which I'm trying to ward off this, is they dump them on the farm, no grass, no feed of any sort, and they didn't plan the feeding. That we'll cover in another video. In this particular one, I'm more interested in type of people that you employ to look after your very expensive animals. So I would like to do a calculation, which I do mentally with most of the farmers that I speak to. If you're going to buy, let's say, 4 dairy animals at 30,000 kwacha each, that means roughly 30 plus 30, the first 2 animals is 60. The other 2 animals, 30 plus 30 is 60,000 kwacha. Put those together, 120,000 kwacha. Now, I usually then ask the people, how much is the car you're driving outside? And most of the times, it will be one which is either less than 120,000 kwacha, or just twice that, or 3 times that. In either case, what I try to draw their attention to is that they often spend a lot of money on animals that are worth 120,000 kwacha. But somehow, between the point where they spend the money on the dairy animals and dump them on the farm, they forget the value of the animals. And then they assign some village boy from somewhere whose only qualification was to whip the animals in the valley to come and look after those animals and tug at their teeth to bring out milk. And they are pulling on 120,000 kwacha every minute, and that they forget to wash their hands, they forget to feed the animals. And this is someone that you can't even trust to wash the inside of your car that is worth 60,000 kwacha. And you're asking him to whip around and tug around, and you tell him, don't whip the animals, feed them in the morning, no, do this. And this is 120,000 kwacha you're juggling. Can you not just, for 2 milliseconds, value these animals correctly and employ someone who is worth managing 120,000 kwacha or 360,000 kwacha, or if you have more in multiples of those animals we've calculated. This is by far the biggest problem that I've seen in Zambia as the reason why most small-scale dairy farmers are not improving. You will leave instruction on the farm, the person you're leaving instruction with doesn't even care, because the way they think of an animal has nothing to do with the value you're trying to draw out of that animal. The way they would like to treat an animal has nothing to, they really don't care. If an animal is going to give you 10 liters of milk, by his standards, an animal is supposed to produce 2.5 liters of milk in the village. So if it gives 10 liters, that's a lot of milk. And in that construct, they won't even appreciate the fact that you have had to feed the animals a lot of feed, expensive one, to produce that. Then the animals come down with mastitis, they skip a dipping, and then they have tick bite infections. And then when you call on a vet like me to come and attend to your animals, and I tell you to pay an exorbitant amount of money, you think I'm being expensive, but you are being cheap. And from the way I see it, I think most of the problems start with how you value your enterprises. So for everyone out there who is thinking of ordering those very pricey animals from South Africa or anywhere else, or is buying local dairy animals and they think they are making a huge investment into this, I would like you to reevaluate your management system. how well have you thought about your management system? And looking further onto next videos, you need then to look at your feeding plans, you need to look at your housing plans. But at least if there's anything else you can do, or if there's only one thing you can do out of all this big enterprise that you're trying to start and you're hoping to get profit out of, at least get the right people to look after your animals. If your management is bad, nothing will ever be good. And that's about it. And if you're out of this video, you have understood that animals that are used for in your dairy enterprise, the ones that you buy, the ones whose amount you already know for which you bought them for, are very expensive and need to be cared for. If that's all you've got out of this, then I've achieved my goal. So good to have you. See you next time.